Okay, well, good morning, everybody. I'm going to go ahead and get started. You are joining the HR Technology webinar on this fine Tuesday morning, and we are talking about market trends. My name is Kim Seeley, and I'm the Managing Director for the Partners Group. And I'm going to be your host today as we go through an agenda. We plan to end this webinar in about an hour, and we will have some time for some questions at the end. So first and foremost, I want to introduce my partner in crime, if you will, for this webinar, Amy Wilson from Benefit Technology Resources. And for those of you not familiar with Benefit Technology Resources, it is the largest mid-market independent benefit technology consulting firm. We here at the Partners Group work quite closely with BTR on a variety of different initiatives, including project work, RFP, technology RFPs, and vendor selection, benefit administration, and much, much more. So for our agenda today, we're going to cover the following topics. First and foremost, we're going to talk a bit about the top HR technology trends, including analytics, artificial intelligence, employee engagement, and layering technology. From there, we're going to talk about current systems and a gap analysis, and then what to do when you have performed your gap analysis and you have some results that you would like to act on. And then lastly, we're going to end with a status on the Partners Group own technology offering, and then open it up to questions. So with that, I'd like to turn this over to Amy Wilson from BTR. So Amy, please take it away.
Thanks, Kim. Hi, everyone. As Kim said, our overall agenda today is really to share with you some current trends in the HR technology market, as well as go through some slides that will demonstrate the application, so you can really have an idea around how the trends apply in your world. Before we jump into that, I just want to provide a little bit more information about BTR. As Kim said, we are the largest mid-market HR technology consulting firm in the United States. We consider mid-market anywhere from a couple of hundred lives up to a couple of thousand lives. However, we've certainly engaged in clients much smaller than that and much larger than that. I think to date, our smallest project that we've helped with was around 40 lives, and we've helped a group with about 40,000 lives. So we can really help in all areas. We are independent, and what that means is that we are not financially tied to any vendors. So we're not being, we're not thinking that we would put people on people's systems based on any sort of commissions or revenue that we receive from those vendors. And so we really are independent and looking for the best fit for the groups that we engage with. We are subject matter experts in all of the HR technologies you see below. So not really just spend admin and HRIS, but also those ancillary services such as timekeeping, performance management, talent management, etc. And with that, we will jump into the first HR technology trend. Please feel free as we're going through this to use that question bar on the side of the control panel in the webinar. You can certainly wait to the end, like Kim said, but if you have questions as we're going through here, go ahead and type them in, and we'll try to answer those when they're relevant to the presentation. Our first trend is analytics. Oops, sorry about that. Didn't mean to click twice. So the definition of analytics is actionable data that can help solve complex business problems, allowing you to drive towards strategic solutions. And that's how we define them, so you know what we're talking about, what it means, and why it's valuable. everyone in HR wants to be more strategic, but a lot of times they don't know how to do that or they have limited resources. So analytics are really the ability to drive toward those strategic solutions using data. The data that we're talking about with analytics can be collected and captured in a number of different ways and systems. A lot of it comes from your human capital management technology, payroll, benefits administration, applicant tracking. It really is out there already. And so what this does is allows you to compile it and to optimize your workforce and create those strategic objectives we talked about using that data that already exists. As part of analytics, we're going to talk about dashboards. And dashboards are actually the visual representation of that data in analytics. So what it does, it's really how you see it, how you see that data. Oftentimes there's a customizable interface that allows you to pull in that data and slice and dice it in different ways to be able to understand what you're trying to accomplish and how to best go about that. We'll show you a few examples of the dashboards here. So this is the data inside the analytics, but these examples show you how that can be illustrated for you in 3 different examples of employee demographics, employee trends, turnover rates. And there's a lot of other different ways that you can see the information in your dashboards. But what this really does is it goes to all of those different systems and it allows you to compile that data, merge it together, and then quantify and analyze the data within that with visuals such as graphs and things like that to help enable you with the decision making for your organization.
So Amy, question for you here. So what I'm hearing is that it's quite common that analytics is drawing data from a variety of different systems. So if a client or a employer does not have one system, if you will, for a fully blown baked human capital management system, and they might use one vendor for, let's say, time and attendance, and one vendor for applicant tracking, and one vendor for benefits, and another vendor for a standard HRIS system. What I'm hearing is that it's not uncommon for an analytics kind of software to lay over all 4 of those different systems, pull it together, and really to create and produce the analytics that a client is looking for. Is that accurate?
That's absolutely true for groups that do have everything in disparate different platforms or systems. However, even those all-in-one systems or all one vendor systems most likely have some sort of an analytics tool, because even though to the end user it feels like you have all one system, those are all different modules and platforms and sometimes databases in the background. So even an all one vendor system typically has an analytics module that will pull in information from their benefit administration module, from their HR module, et cetera, to be able to compile these demographics and these analytics for them.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. Our number 2 trend is artificial intelligence, or AI. So what AI does is it really creates a predictor of future outputs from the set of inputs. So we're still kind of talking about data, but this is a little bit higher level than just the analytics that we talked about previously. And it really helps perform a lot of human function in order to empower employees and leaders to make their decisions. There's things such as speech recognition. It increases productivity, decision support tools, etc. The example I really like to give on this one is a personal example. I will admit freely that I spend way too much time on Amazon.com. So I was in the market for a new coffee maker, and I had looked on Amazon. I found the one that I wanted, excuse me, and decided not to buy it because I couldn't get it for 4 days. Well, the next day when I logged in to Amazon, that same coffee maker that I looked at was actually available. So they had overnighted one of those to a warehouse near me. So I was able to get that coffee maker. Sorry guys, I had a little cough. To get that coffee maker, they brought it closer to me because they used AI to look at my shopping trends and see the one that I liked. And they understood that I didn't buy it, and maybe that was because of the shipping time associated with that. So that's kind of a non-HR technology way to understand AI. So within HR, the ways that AI is really represented at this point is mostly in benefits administration and decision support, in assisting employees to go through that employee self-service module and understand the impact of choosing one plan over another, or even have some sort of an avatar be able to talk to them and ask them a few questions to help them choose the right plan. So it's really the next level of employee self-service. Um, we actually know of one large benefit administration vendor that recently added chatbots to their call center. And so now their call center is available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It cut down on a lot of call volume and also volume of people going back to their HR and benefits team to ask questions. So this is where we're seeing it in the HR world, and really it is able to free up the HR staff from a lot of those repetitive tasks and allow them to focus more on their core job that they need to do working with employees.
Okay. So, Amy, one quick question on artificial intelligence. You said you see that most often in kind of benefits service centers or, emails or, where folks are inquiring about their various benefits. Are there other areas outside of benefits that you see artificial intelligence starting to be used?
Yeah, I mean, I think that the call center example is a good one. I also from that, anything where an employee needs to be helped with something is kind of the way to look at it. And so I
Hmm.
use benefits as an example, but it's really when you think of those points of contact with employees. Maybe
Hmm.
it's that they have a workman's comp issue or they want to request their PTO, things like that. I think you're going to see AI, even though it started off more prevalently in Ben admin, I think it is and will continue to be spread out across all areas of HR technology.
I see. I see. Okay, great. Thank you.
No problem. Our next trend is employee engagement, which I think is very key to HR staff these days. I think that um, when it's not we're past the times where people just fill out a paper application and never really deal with HR or don't play an active role in it. And I think we've come a long way from that. And so employee engagement is important, and that's definitely a trend. You're seeing companies with Facebook and Twitter. You're seeing mobile applications of all of the HR technology solutions, and it really helps with retention and recruiting and obtaining the best talent for your organization. I'm going to focus a little bit on this quote because I think that it's important when you think of trying to get employees engaged in your organization by using technology. You can get them to buy into the culture and familiar with the culture before they even have their first day of employment. And so that's a significant shift when you think about technology. So what this quote says, and it's from Sierra Cedar, which is a company that does a large HR technology survey on an annual basis. Those organizations with no plans to enable mobile are twice as likely to have responded that their HR function has no credibility within the organization, while organizations with mobile-enabled HR are 3 times more likely to be viewed as a strategic business partner. And so I think that is a big shift and it's significant. And if everyone isn't thinking about that yet, then they definitely should be.
And so, there's been a lot of talk about the various generations that are in the workforce now, and a huge span of people that like to be communicated in different ways. Can you maybe speak to that, Amy, and around employee engagement and how HR technology is responding to knowing that it's not just everybody wants mobile, although this quote would say, boy, that makes you think that's the case. But how is HR technology really targeting these various generations?
Yeah, I think that's a very good point, Kim. It's that the same solutions don't work for everyone, right? And so you need to tailor your approach to your different audiences that you have within your workforce. And so we have the young population entering the workforce that is tied to their phones, always on their phones. And so they would be the ones that want to be able to go request their PTO or log their hours, et cetera, within their mobile device. But you also may have employees that aren't quite as technology savvy and aren't ready for that. And so I think that the idea behind this trend is to engage all types of employees and to have multiple options available so
Mm.
that all of them can get the assistance that they need.
I see. So in my mind, probably having, for example, a call center for maybe an older generation that really wants to talk to somebody versus for a younger generation that really wants to text somebody, and having capabilities in those different areas is key,
Right.
correct?
I mean, right. I think technology is technology. And so to some extent, all employees have to use it as part of their daily life. But I think that if you can also add in those additional services, whether it's a call center, or I know that some organizations have people that sit down and help them enroll through the system, whatever that is, it's really understanding your population and what they're going to be willing to adopt and what they're going also to push you for and to want during their employment process from before they're even from when they're looking to the job until they're no longer an employee.
Got it.
How do you make
Okay,
it
thanks.
easy for them to work with you?
Hmm. Great.
So when we talk about layering technology, the trends that we're talking about today are really adding another layer to overall HR technology. When you think of where we've come in the evolution of HR technology, there are systems that have their core HCM, um, their human capital management functionality. There are systems that are known for payroll. There are some that are known for time and attendance, et cetera. And then a lot of times those might work for certain clients. Let's just do everything in one system, or I like to say better with one vendor because it may not be all one system, but that might work. But when you think of the expanding needs and expectations of HR and technology today, there's the ability to and it's a really good thing to layer point solutions on top of that. So for example, if there's a system that is a really good payroll system, but maybe their benefit administration section of their platform is a little bit weak. And a client really needs more complexity around their benefit plans or their eligibility rules, or maybe they need a higher level of abilities and complexity in any one of these solutions here. Sometimes it's better to bring in a point solution to integrate with that core HCM platform rather than to try and make it fit in one core system and then have to continually deal with the fact that maybe that's all you're going to get and it's just not exactly the right fit. And we've come a long way from an integration standpoint. um,
Mhm.
it's there are single sign-ons. There is the API connections. And so really to your employees, it still can feel all like one system. They're not going to know that when they click on this link to enroll in their new hire benefits, that they're going into a different platform. And so it's important to keep in mind and just to be open to considering that you want the best in breed for each of the different tasks or processes that you want your employees to be able to manage through technology, and to really be open-minded in that, and know that things have come a long way and that that might be the best route if there's any sort of complexity involved. The things we're talking about today are really that next level of strategic HR. So it's adding another layer. It's adding in that the analytics and the business intelligence. It's taking the employee engagement to a next level, adding in those different types of solutions we talked about for the different types of employees, being able to automatically have them schedule their appointment for their evidence of insurability or enroll in their HSA plan. So there's a lot of things coming down the pike, and you'll continue to see layers added on here. And it really is a great opportunity for employers to understand each client's specific needs and each employee's specific needs, as opposed to having just one uniform that everyone has to fit into.
I see. So it seems to me, and you tell me if my view here is accurate, Amy, but it seems to me that several years ago the trend really was to have several different systems servicing these various needs, and then there was a shift to having one core vendor that touched all these different areas. And now it feels like there's a shift away from that again to really finding the best solution for employers that fits their population and their needs and industry. But what I'm hearing is because technology has improved substantially and continues to just change at lightning speed, that having the various components is not quite as cumbersome as it was, say, 5 to 7 years ago. Is that a true statement?
Exactly. Integration is the key to that. And so I think the reason that those big all-in-one systems came about was because when everyone had separate systems, they were frustrated that they didn't talk to each other,
I see.
or they didn't do it well. And so now with the evolution of integration and single sign-on and thing like that, it really is going back more to potentially some separate systems, probably not every single system, but maybe adding in a best in breed benefits administration or talent management solution on top of that payroll and HRIS, with it being seamless to your employees.
Perfect. Now, you threw out a couple of words, and for those of us that maybe haven't had our caffeine this morning, I want to just clarify. When you say single sign-on, can you maybe define what that means and what the experience is to either the employer or an employee who is navigating through a technology system?
Sure. What that is if I'm in my HRIS system as an employee and I want to go into my benefits or my performance management and add information for my upcoming performance review, I would click on a button. And what happens behind the scenes when that happens is the system sends tokens, is what they're called technically, I guess, of information of that employee's employee ID, and maybe a secure token request over to the benefits administration or the performance management system, and then automatically opens the door and takes them into that system within the same application. It might open a new window, but it takes them in without them having to sign in to more than one place. And so thus the single sign-on, it really allows them to sign into one place and access all of their HR information. The AI API part of that is more real time, so it actually pulls the information in within that same system, but they're both similar and they both end up with a seamless process for the employees so that they're not having to remember multiple usernames or passwords, and they can really go to one place for all of their HR needs.
So API is similar to single sign-on. It's just a more real-time kind of a continuous feed every minute,
Correct.
every day. And
Yep.
so any information that is changed in one system is automatically fed to the other system, and the employee or the employer is none the wiser that there's been this transfer of data, correct?
Exactly. Exactly.
Perfect. Okay, great. Thank you for that.
No problem. So we've talked through 4 current trends, and now we're going to go through a couple of trends that are on the horizon and in the works, so to speak. The first one is blockchain technology, and I wish we were all in a room so you could raise your hands if you've ever heard of blockchain technology, because I hadn't until a few months ago. But blockchain is really technology that uses Bitcoin or cryptocurrencies. So it's a public database or ledger. The way I like to explain this is each block in the chain, so you look at this red chain down here, each block in the chain is a bit of information or a transaction. So looking at it from maybe a banking perspective, if I owe you $5 and maybe I owe Kim $4, that chain will make sure that I have enough funds to cover both of those transactions. And when I go to pay Kim her $4, it will subtract $4 and deduct that from my overall balance. If I add money, it adds another block. So it's spread out over hundreds of different nodes and servers that store the data, and it's basically a validation. The first HR application that we're starting to see of blockchain is employment and education verification. So they're working on that. I don't know that there's any up and running now, but they're working on the ability to use blockchain for education verifications and employment verifications, and to store that information in blockchain way. Our opinion at BTR is where this is going to be a huge paradox shift is when someone figures out how to apply blockchain in payroll and benefits. When you think of banking fees for payroll, there would no longer be any banking fees to transfer money. And so direct billing, payroll, benefits, all of that could technically at some point utilize this blockchain technology, and that will be a real game changer if and when that happens. I'm sure someone's thinking about it already. The next trend is the standalone point solutions, which I don't know that this is necessarily a future thing. When we talked a little bit on the layering technology, it's just really reiterating that there are some solutions that it's better not to have in your all-in-one system, to have all your eggs in one basket, so to speak. BTR, for example, has a benefits administration division where we have 4 or 5 benefit administration platforms that we support. So we do the ongoing servicing and the implementation. And this right here is exactly why our BenAdmin division has been so successful. Our broker partners actually came to us for this standalone BenAdmin because they either weren't satisfied with the service that their clients were receiving on their benefit administration system, or maybe they needed something with higher level of technology or complexity. And so most clients really need a standalone benefit administration because more of the holistic providers that have all-in-one solutions don't necessarily meet all of their needs for maybe spouse surcharges, smoker, non-smoker rates. How do we handle Quamsco and make sure that that employee doesn't drop coverage on the court order dependent? So there are a lot of different areas. Again, I tend to focus on benefit administration, but when you think of the complexity really around also performance management and workforce optimization, standalone point solutions should not be a scary thing anymore, and really are probably the best decision in a lot of cases. And part of what we do is help understand that so that each organization knows the right solution for them.
Okay, so what I'm hearing is don't be scared of standalone point solutions, right? That's the
Correct.
biggest message. Okay. that things have
Correct.
changed from integration from what they were several years ago.
Exactly. And that's what the TPG team and BTR can help with, is help sort of put all of that information and understand the needs, and help with the best solution at the right cost for each group.
Great.
So we've talked through 4 current trends, a couple of future trends, so about 6 things so far. And now what we're going to really go through is, how do you apply those trends? What do we do? What's our next steps if we need help? And so we're going to talk through a gap analysis. A gap analysis is really looking at and charting out all of your different processes and touch points, if anything's still manual, etc. How do we understand your current technology to help you determine whether that technology meets all of your needs, whether it can meet all of your needs, or whether maybe there's new technology that needs to be looked into? So these are some of the questions that you can ask, or that we would ask is, was your system fully implemented? And if it was, how is it working? What are the pain points? It doesn't take long when asking a client, what's the biggest pain point you have with your technology today? You'll hear what it is, if there are any, because it's something that HR and benefit teams have to deal with on a daily basis. Is the system optimized? So are you utilizing it to its full potential? And does it really match up with what you want your employees' experiences to be and what your company culture is? Do you feel like it's an accurate representation of that to your employees? And once you answer those questions, it allows you to have the information that you need to engage your vendor partner or partners and have further conversations. It helps you map out your process and really determine whether you should stay with that vendor or potentially look for a different vendor.
So, Amy, question for you. Because the BTR team has done a lot of gap analysis, would you say that you find more often than not that employers might have purchased a system but aren't using all the modules? Does that happen often, infrequently, frequently? What's your opinion on that?
I think that it does, and I don't, and this is another great argument for the point solutions, but I think that when an employer starts looking into technology, they know what they need at that point. And so they may not understand the benefit that other modules or point solutions can provide. And so sometimes, for example, and maybe they don't even know, because the demonstrations and the RFP or whatever that they went through to choose that vendor might be tailored to a client saying, this is what we need. And sometimes you don't know you need something until you know it exists. And so
Mm-hmm.
it's really the ability to understand, for example, we're still spending 2 hours a month reconciling our carrier bills. Maybe that vendor has a consolidated billing module that can help you, especially for self-bill, create those bills for the carriers. Um, Maybe they can help eliminate some manual processes. If I've always said, if there are any manual processes, you need to talk to your vendor or your broker and figure out why that is, because I think there's so much cost saved in eliminating manual processes and the potential errors that can go along with that. Does
I
that
see.
answer your
Okay.
question?
It does. Thank you.
Sure. So to sum up with that gap analysis, the end result is really, should we stay? Should we go? Should we? Part of one of the services BTR offers is, I call it marriage counseling. So we can actually get involved and help weed through some of that information and really help you figure out if that vendor is gonna be able to step up to the plate and resolve any issues that you have. And we have a lot of contacts within most vendors within the market that we can escalate things to. And if you realize that it's a service thing and a culture thing, or a technology issue more than anything else, then it might be time to look at new vendors. That Sierra Cedar survey that I talked about before, the last year's survey for 2018 found that 49% of the respondents in the survey had either changed payroll systems within the last year or were actively looking to change payroll systems. And so it's not a bad thing to, if you have the right help and to know that you want to find the right vendor and not just keep trying to make something work that isn't going to feel right. And so it happens frequently. And if the current vendor situation can't be worked out, then you can contact TPG and we can help you identify a right fit solution for you.
Absolutely, and I think that's important. One key thing I would maybe just point out is that it is important for us to kind of take a look at what the issues are, and to see possibly if there might be a opportunity, if you will, to fix those vendors and to really vet out whether that current vendor is the right one or not. Because if there is a transition to a new technology partner, that takes a tremendous amount of energy from both the new vendor, but more importantly, from our employers that are working through it and from your team, as you all know. So that work has to be done with any transition, and it's important not to understate the importance of that work and kind of laying the groundwork for making sure that new system is set up correctly and can be as viable and as effective as possible.
Right. And I think, specifically for companies that have grown a lot since they found their current technology vendor, you want a partner that's going to grow with you and that's open to enhancements and more complex programming and things like that. Maybe they've already had groups like you that are larger, or if not, you want someone that's going to grow with you and not just say, sorry, we don't do that.
Right.
So just to sum up, there are a lot of tools available, a lot of trends. Thank you for letting me share them with you today. The question really becomes, and our goal at BTR is to not look at HR technology always from 10,000 feet. We want to look at it from the perspective and the needs and requirements of each individual client that we work with. And so we won't always recommend the same thing. And we really dig in and ask a lot of questions in order to understand what of those tools that are out there do you need? What makes sense for your organization? And be honest with you, even though we are completely vendor independent, we won't say we're agnostic. We have opinions and we will share those because we want clients that go through any sort of project or engagement with us to end up satisfied with the technology and the service that they're receiving.
Great. Well, thank you, Amy, for that review of HR technology trends, both current and future technology trends, as
Absolutely.
well as what to do when you want to take a look at, is your current technology offering really filling your needs? I'd like to shift gears here, and certainly Amy has illustrated that technology is ever changing. And we here at the Partners Group are adding products and expertise as well. And so we are developing our very own technology offering. And the idea is that we're going to continue to strengthen the link between employee benefits and technology. And we have invested in a benefit technology product that'll be able to assist with a variety of different activities, including benefit enrollment, both at renewal and ongoing, ACA tracking, onboarding, PTO tracking, and much, much more. So we are beta testing with select groups in 2019, and our hope is to launch our very own product come January 2020. So if you are interested in pursuing our technology offering, certainly reach out to your account manager and your consultant, and we can start a dialogue about that and see if this is the right fit for you and your organization. So with that, I'd like to open it up to questions. It's been relatively quiet on the question box, but if anybody has anything they would like to ask while Amy and I are on the line, please don't hesitate to do so. Just a couple of housekeeping reminders here. If you attended this full webinar, you will receive an email with your HR credit, and that'll come after the webinar is recorded and sent out, and you'll receive that via email. So no questions have come in as of yet. So with that, we're going to go ahead and thank you all for attending our webinar today. We hope that this was informative and provided you with some of the current and future trends in HR technology, as well as solutions that we can provide to you and your firm. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to contact us, and be sure to watch out for a copy of the PowerPoint presentation and the video, which will be coming to you in the near future. So with that, we thank you for your time and attention today, and we hope you have a good rest of the week.
Thanks, everyone. Sorry for my coughing.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.